The massive alien warship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark storm cloud, its hull gleaming with an odd purple sheen under the sun's rays. Inside the United Nations Emergency Command Center, screens flickered with incoming transmissions as military officers and diplomats rushed about in organized chaos. Captain Tom Miller stood at attention, his weathered face illuminated by the giant screen before him. As Earth's chosen military liaison, he'd expected this first contact situation to be tense. What he hadn't expected was to be fighting back a smile. The alien commander on screen, who called himself High Marshal Red Scale, towered over his command center. His reptilian features were emphasized by the crimson scales that gave him his name, and his four eyes blinked in different patterns as he spoke. "Humans of Earth," Red Scale's voice boomed through the translation system. "Your planet stands at the brink of destruction. We have discovered your secret weapon, your ultimate beast of war. Surrender now, or we will have no choice but to use it against you." Tom exchanged confused looks with General Adams beside him. Secret weapon, ultimate beast. The United Nations Security Council members whispered among themselves, equally puzzled. "Perhaps," Tom said carefully, "you could show us this weapon you speak of. We want to ensure we're all talking about the same thing." Red Scale's upper eyes narrowed while his lower ones widened, an expression Tom couldn't quite interpret. "Very well. Behold the terror you have created." The screen split, and the second half showed what appeared to be a high-security containment cell aboard the alien vessel. Tom squinted, then blinked rapidly. He bit his lower lip hard enough to draw blood, desperately trying to maintain his professional composure. Inside the cell, bouncing around with endless energy, was a golden retriever puppy. The small dog, probably no more than 6 months old, had a bright red ball in its mouth and was doing its best to entice the alien guards to play. Its tail wagged with such enthusiasm that its whole body wiggled, and every few seconds it would drop the ball, bark playfully, then pick it up again. Observe its relentless energy, Red Scale declared. Its unstoppable pursuit protocols, its ability to break through our strongest mental defenses with its psychological warfare tactics. The puppy flopped onto its back, showing its belly, tongue lolling out in a happy canine grin. Several of the human diplomats started coughing suspiciously into their hands. A military attaché had to leave the room, his shoulders shaking with barely contained laughter. "We found this creature in one of your research facilities," Red Scale continued, oblivious to the human's reactions. "Its ability to escape any containment is unprecedented. Watch." The footage showed the puppy somehow squeezing through a small gap in the containment field, rushing up to an alien guard and enthusiastically licking their face. The guard fell backward, making a high-pitched trilling sound that the translator rendered as help. "It's displaying its chemical warfare capabilities." Tom took a deep breath, forcing his face into a neutral expression. "High Marshal Red Scale, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. That's not a weapon. It's a puppy, a baby dog. They're companions we keep as pets." All four of Red Scale's eyes blinked simultaneously. "Lies. No species would keep such a formidable creature as a pet. We have documented its abilities. It can disarm our strongest warriors with a single look. It pursues targets relentlessly until they submit to physical contact. It has even infected several crew members with a condition that compels them to provide it with treats and belly rubs." That's just what puppies do," Tom explained gently. "They're friendly. They want to play and be loved. Humans have kept dogs as companions for thousands of years." Red Scale's scales flushed a deeper red. "Impossible. You expect us to believe you willingly share your dwellings with these creatures, that you've mastered such biological weapons for mere companionship." At that moment, the puppy on screen managed to get one of the alien guards to throw its ball. The guard immediately looked horrified at having been compelled to interact with the beast. "Perhaps," Tom suggested diplomatically, "we should arrange a cultural exchange to better understand each other's perspectives. We could explain our long history with dogs, and you could share your concerns." Red Scale's tail twitched. Agreed. But the beast remains in our custody until we verify your claims. We cannot risk unleashing it upon the galaxy. As the transmission ended, Tom finally allowed himself to smile. First contact hadn't gone quite as anyone had expected, but at least it wasn't hostile, just hilariously confused. Behind him, General Adams muttered, "Of all the ways I thought first contact might go, being invaded over a puppy wasn't on the list." 3 days before first contact, High Marshal Red Scale's scout team crept through the empty halls of what they believed to be a top-secret Earth research facility. In reality, it was the Riverside Science Center, temporarily evacuated due to a minor chemical spill in one of the labs. "Commander," Scout Leader Blue Crest whispered into his communication device, "we've located the secure area. Signs indicate it's called Daycare Center. Must be where they develop their weapons." Red Scale's voice crackled through the device. "Proceed with extreme caution. Our intelligence suggests humans are surprisingly advanced despite their primitive appearance." The scout team, wearing their most advanced stealth suits, carefully disabled the security system, though they needn't have bothered, as it was just a basic keypad lock to keep the children from wandering off. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the room was filled with what the aliens assumed were training devices, colorful climbing structures, soft padding on the floors, and various toys they mistook for combat training tools. In the corner, inside a playpen, a small golden retriever puppy looked up at them with bright, curious eyes. "Life form detected," Blue Crest hissed, raising his scanner. "Energy readings are confused. It's showing both predator and non-predator characteristics." The puppy tilted its head, ears perking up at the new voices. Its tail began to wag. "It's activating some kind of response protocol," another scout warned, backing away slowly. The puppy gave a small woof and bounced forward playfully, making all 5 aliens jump backward in perfect synchronization. Their tails curled in defensive postures as the small creature approached the playpen's gate. "Look at its dental structure," Blue Crest observed nervously, "clearly designed for combat. And those eyes, they seem to be emitting some form of mind-altering radiation. I feel strange, almost compelled to approach it." The puppy had managed to nudge the playpen gate open. Someone had forgotten to latch it properly, and trotted happily toward the aliens, carrying a squeaky toy. "Containment breach," one of the scouts yelled. "It's armed with some kind of sonic weapon." The puppy squeezed the toy, producing a high-pitched squeak. The aliens scattered in panic, their sophisticated stealth suits transforming into swirling patterns of confusion as their fear responses triggered chaotic camouflage changes. "Deploy the containment field," Blue Crest ordered. A shimmering energy barrier appeared between them and the puppy, who responded by sitting down and offering its paw through the field. "By the stellar winds," whispered Blue Crest, "it's attempting to establish physical contact. The humans must have engineered it for infiltration purposes." Over the next hour, the scouts attempted to secure the weapon for transport. However, their efforts were continuously thwarted by what they described in their report as tactical superior cuteness and advanced psychological warfare techniques. When they tried to approach with a containment unit, the puppy thought they were playing and ran circles around them, occasionally stopping to playfully bow with its tail wagging. When they attempted to use a tractor beam, the puppy caught sight of its beam dot on the floor and pounced on it like it was a game. "It's displaying unprecedented tactical capabilities," Blue Crest reported to Red Scale. "It can apparently turn any of our containment methods into some form of recreational activity." Finally, one young scout made the mistake of absent-mindedly throwing a ball that the puppy had brought over. The puppy retrieved it and returned it, setting off a chain of events that would later be described in the official report as involuntary engagement in primitive training exercises. When they finally managed to get the puppy aboard their ship, using a trail of treats they found in a cabinet, mistaking them for power supplements for the weapon, the entire scout team was thoroughly confused and slightly traumatized. "Sir," Bluecrest reported to Redscale, "the humans have created something extraordinary. It defeated our best containment protocols not through force or technology, but through some kind of adorable combat strategy we've never encountered before." Redscale reviewed the footage in his command center, watching as the small creature repeatedly breached their security through what appeared to be pure friendliness. "This changes everything," he declared. "If humans can create and control such a being, they are either more dangerous than we imagined, or completely insane." The puppy, now aboard the alien flagship, had already convinced 3 guards to play fetch and was working on getting belly rubs from a 4th. The invasion of Earth would have to wait. First, they needed to understand exactly what they were dealing with. The emergency diplomatic meeting was held in a hastily prepared neutral space, a converted airplane hangar at a military base. One side of the room held the Earth delegation, led by Captain Tom Miller. The other side contained High Marshal Redscale and his advisors, all maintaining what they considered a safe distance from the humans. In the center of the room, inside what the aliens insisted was a necessary containment field, the golden retriever puppy dozed peacefully on a cushion. "As you can see," Tom explained, pointing to a series of images on the large screen, "dogs have been human companions for over 15,000 years. We developed a mutual relationship with their ancestors, wolves, and—" "Wolves," interrupted Redscale, his scales flickering with alarm. "You mean to tell us you deliberately sought out apex predators to create these creatures?" The puppy yawned, stretched, and rolled over onto its back, paws twitching as it dreamed. 3 alien scientists flinched. "Well, yes," Tom continued patiently. "Through selective breeding over thousands of generations, we—" "Selective breeding." Green Eye, the alien chief scientist, stepped forward. "You're admitting to genetic manipulation of predator species for your own purposes." Tom rubbed his temples. This was the 4th time the conversation had derailed. "Not genetic manipulation in the way you were thinking. More like choosing the friendliest wolves to breed with other friendly wolves until—" "The friendliest apex predators." Redscale's tail whipped back and forth. "Do you realize how insane that sounds? Next, you'll tell us you did this for— what was that word you used? Fun." At that moment, one of the alien guards shifted position, and his equipment made a squeaking sound. The puppy's ears perked up immediately. Before anyone could react, it had somehow slipped through a gap in the containment field that by all physics shouldn't have existed. "Containment breach," shouted an alien guard, raising his weapon. "Stand down," both Tom and Redscale shouted simultaneously. The puppy, completely unaware of the diplomatic crisis it was causing, trotted up to the nearest alien guard and sat down, tilting its head expectantly. The guard stood frozen, all 4 eyes wide with terror. "It's displaying the hypnotic attack pattern," Green Eye announced, frantically taking readings with some sort of scanner. "Everyone, avoid direct eye contact." The puppy wagged its tail and gave a small boof. 2 more alien guards fell back, while a 3rd seemed to be fighting some internal battle. His hand slowly began to move toward the puppy, trembling. "Officer 6 spots, no," Redscale commanded. "Resist the physiological manipulation." But it was too late. The guard's hand made contact with the puppy's head, and he began to scratch behind its ears. The puppy's tail wagged harder, and it leaned into the touch. I can't stop," 6 spots reported, sounding distressed, but continuing to pet the puppy. "The neural override is too strong. It's so soft." Tom struggled to keep his voice diplomatic rather than laughing out loud. "That's perfectly normal. Dogs have evolved alongside humans to be very good at encouraging physical contact. We call it being friendly." "Evolved." Green Eye's antennae twitched. "You mean they developed these capabilities naturally?" "Impossible. The psychological impact is too precise. Watch." The scientist projected a series of brain scans showing alien neural patterns before and after puppy contact. See these changes: increased happiness indicators, reduced stress responses, elevated social bonding hormones, all from simple physical contact. Yes, Tom agreed. We call that the power of puppy cuddles. It's very well documented. Redscale's tail was now curled so tightly it resembled a spring. You expect us to believe you keep creatures with this level of biochemical influence capability in your homes, around your young? Well, yes, they're excellent with children. The entire alien delegation took 3 steps back in perfect unison. This meeting is suspended, Redscale declared. We need to reassess our understanding of human civilization. Any species that casually domesticates apex predators for emotional support clearly requires more careful study. As the aliens filed out, Tom noticed 6 spots lingering behind, still petting the puppy. The guard quickly pulled his hand back and hurried after his colleagues, but not before slipping the puppy a treat when he thought no one was looking. Tom smiled. Perhaps there was hope for interspecies understanding after all. One belly rub at a time. The joint human-alien investigation team gathered in what had once been a tennis court, now converted into a makeshift research area. Captain Tom stood beside Green Eye, the alien scientist, as they prepared for what the aliens were calling the Beast Comparison Protocol. Are you absolutely certain about this? Green Eye asked, checking his safety equipment for the 5th time. Introducing multiple specimens could be dangerous. Trust me, Tom replied, trying not to smile. This will help you understand. On his signal, the doors opened and 3 human handlers walked in, each leading a different breed of dog. A massive Saint Bernard, an elegant collie, and a tiny Chihuahua. The alien researchers immediately pressed themselves against the far wall. By the stellar winds, whispered Green Eye, you've created variants. The original golden retriever puppy, whom the humans had started calling Scout, barked happily at the newcomers. The alien guards monitoring its containment field tensed up, expecting some kind of coordinated attack. Instead, the dogs simply started sniffing each other and wagging their tails. Observed, Tom explained, how each breed was developed for different purposes. The Saint Bernard for rescue in cold mountains, the collie for herding sheep, the Chihuahua for companionship. You mean to tell us, Green Eye's antennae twitched rapidly, that the small one is the same species as the large one? Technically, yes. All dogs are descended from wolves, just selectively bred for different traits. The alien scientists furiously recorded data as the dogs interacted. They seemed particularly puzzled by the Chihuahua, which was currently barking at its own reflection in Green Eye's shiny equipment. But the size differential. Green Eye protested. The environmental adaptations, the behavioral variations. This level of species manipulation should have taken millions of years. Humans are pretty good at breeding animals, Tom shrugged. We've had plenty of practice. The investigation continued throughout the day. The alien team was fascinated by each demonstration. Fetch games, basic obedience commands, and tricks. They were particularly amazed when the collie completed an agility course, leading to a heated debate about whether it was using anti-gravity technology. However, the real breakthrough came during an unexpected incident. Scout, the golden retriever puppy, had once again escaped its containment field, something that still baffled the alien engineers. This time, it made its way to the research team's break room. Security cameras recorded the entire scene. High Marshal Redscale had been taking a private moment to review reports when Scout entered. The footage showed the commander freezing in place as the puppy approached, tail wagging hopefully. Delete this footage immediately, Redscale would later demand, but by then, everyone had seen what happened next. The mighty alien commander, terror of 3 star systems, had not only petted the puppy but had also engaged in what humans called baby talk. The security recording clearly showed him saying, "Who's a fearsome beast?" "You are." "Yes, you are," in what the translator rendered as a high-pitched, cooing tone. When confronted about the incident, Red Scale claimed he was testing the creature's psychological warfare capabilities. No one believed him. Back in the research area, Green Eye was reaching some surprising conclusions. "The data is undeniable," he announced to the team. "These creatures possess an unprecedented combination of traits: loyalty, intelligence, emotional sensitivity, and physical capabilities. But instead of using them as weapons, we made them our friends," Tom completed the sentence. "That's kind of what humans do. We see potential in things, but not always for warfare." The alien scientist's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue color. "Perhaps we have been approaching this investigation from the wrong angle. Instead of studying them as weapons, we should be studying how humans manage to form such strong bonds with another species." "That's what I've been saying all along," Tom agreed. Just then, a commotion erupted from the break room. The St. Bernard had found the alien's water dispenser and was happily splashing in a puddle it had created. The Chihuahua was riding on its back like a tiny cavalry officer, while the collie tried to herd them both away from the mess. Scout watched from atop an overturned chair, tail wagging at the chaos. Green Eye made another note on his tablet. Addendum: humans' ability to find this behavior cute instead of terrifying may be the most remarkable trait of all. Tom looked at the happy dogs, the bewildered aliens, and the growing puddle on the floor. "Welcome," he said, "to life with dogs." The alien flagship's main conference room had been transformed into a makeshift classroom. Large screens displayed images of wolves throughout history, while Captain Tom stood before a mixed audience of humans and aliens. Scout, the golden retriever puppy, sat attentively beside him, occasionally tilting his head at the pictures. "Approximately 15,000 years ago," Tom explained, pointing to an image of an ancient cave painting, "humans first began interacting with wolves, not as enemies, but as potential allies." "Madness," muttered an alien officer from the back. "Pure madness." "Actually," Green Eye interrupted, stepping forward with his research tablet, "I've confirmed these historical records. Humans really did look at one of their planet's most efficient predators and think, 'I bet we could be friends.'" The audience watched in stunned silence as Tom played videos showing the progression from wolves to modern dogs. The images showed everything from working dogs herding sheep to rescue dogs saving lives, and finally, to dogs simply being loving family pets. "But how?" High Marshal Red Scale asked from his seat in the front row. "How did you overcome their predatory nature?" "We didn't overcome it," Tom explained. "We worked with it. Their hunting instincts became playing fetch. Their pack loyalty became family devotion. Their protective instincts became..." As if on cue, Scout noticed a small maintenance robot rolling by the door. The puppy immediately went into a playful stance, tail wagging, and gave a small warning bark. "Defensive protocols activated," shouted an alien guard, reaching for his weapon. "No, no," Tom quickly intervened. "He's just letting us know something's there." "Good boy, Scout." The puppy wagged its tail harder at the praise. 3 alien scientists furiously recorded notes about this advanced alert system. As the presentation continued, security cameras caught something interesting. During the break, when most attendees had left for refreshments, High Marshal Red Scale stayed behind. The footage showed him cautiously approaching Scout. "I don't understand you," the alien commander said softly, not realizing the cameras were recording. "Your species should be enemies with humans, yet you love them unconditionally. How is this possible?" Scout responded by gently placing a paw on Red Scale's hand. The mighty alien commander froze. That's the second time you've done that. Is this some kind of peace gesture?" The puppy simply wagged its tail and leaned against the commander's leg. When the class resumed, Red Scale seemed different. He paid intense attention to Tom's explanation of how dogs could read human emotions and provide comfort during times of stress. "Are you suggesting," Red Scale asked, his voice unusually quiet, that these creatures actually care about their human companions' emotional well-being. Absolutely, Tom replied. Dogs are incredibly empathetic. They can sense when we're sad, happy, scared, or excited. They adapt their behavior to help us feel better. The alien commander glanced at Scout, who was now sleeping peacefully next to his chair. Fascinating, he muttered. Green Eye presented his latest findings to the group. Our research shows that these Earth canines possess abilities we previously thought impossible. Unconditional loyalty without genetic programming, emotional intelligence without artificial enhancement, and the capacity to form deep bonds across species barriers. In other words, Tom added with a smile, they're just really good boys and girls. Several aliens had to consult their translators for this concept. The session ended with a practical demonstration. Tom showed how basic dog training worked, teaching Scout to shake hands with both humans and aliens. The sight of the puppy politely offering its paw to each alien in turn caused quite a stir. But this makes no tactical sense. One alien officer protested. Why teach a potential weapon to be gentle? Because, Tom explained patiently, not everything needs to be a weapon. Sometimes, having a friend is more powerful than having another tool for war. As the aliens filed out, discussing this revolutionary concept, High Marshal Red Scale lingered behind again. Security footage would later show him spending 5 full minutes learning how to properly scratch behind Scout's ears. Perhaps, he was heard saying quietly to the puppy, "There are some things about humans we have completely misunderstood." Scout responded by rolling over for a belly rub, teaching one of the galaxy's most feared military commanders a lesson in trust that no amount of diplomatic talks could have achieved. The Joint Human-Alien Command Center buzzed with activity during the midnight shift. Most of the day staff had gone home, leaving only essential personnel, and of course, Scout the golden retriever puppy, who had somehow become an unofficial security officer. High Marshal Red Scale sat at the main command console, secretly tossing a small ball for Scout when he thought nobody was watching. Captain Tom pretended not to notice, hiding his smile behind a coffee cup. Suddenly, Scout stopped playing. His ears perked up, and he turned toward the maintenance corridor, letting out a low growl. "The beast appears to be malfunctioning," Red Scale announced, trying to mask his concern. Tom set down his coffee. "No, he's alerting us to something. Dogs can hear and smell things we can't." Before anyone could investigate, the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Scout's growl grew louder. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. An alien officer shouted, "They're not responding to identification requests." The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. A rough-looking alien appeared, his scales patched and scarred. "This is Captain Voidheart of the Free Space Raiders. Your facility has been infiltrated. Surrender now." Red Scale stood up, his scales darkening with anger. "Space pirates. How dare you enter protected space?" "Protected by what?" Voidheart laughed. "Your guards are already unconscious from our gas attack. Our boarding teams are heading for your command center now." Scout barked sharply, drawing everyone's attention to the maintenance door. A faint hissing sound came from behind it. "Everyone, back up oxygen systems," Tom shouted, reaching for emergency breathers. But before the pirates could breach the door, Scout ran to an air vent and began pawing at it frantically. "What's it doing?" Red Scale asked, fighting to keep his voice steady. "He's showing us another way out," Tom realized. "The vent system must be clean." They quickly followed Scout's lead, crawling through the ventilation system just as the pirates burst into the command center. From their hiding place, they could see the intruders through the vent slats. "Find them." Voidheart's voice crackled over the raiders' communicators. "They must be here somewhere." Scout stayed completely quiet, seeming to understand the need for silence. He led them through the maze of vents, occasionally stopping to sniff the air and choose a direction. "Remarkable," whispered Green Eye, who had joined their escape group. It's tracking clean air paths and avoiding the gas. They emerged in the security office, where Tom quickly accessed the emergency systems. We can seal off sections of the base and vent the gas, but we need to coordinate with the teams outside. Impossible, Red Scale replied. The raiders are blocking all communications. Scout suddenly stood alert, tail straight out, staring at the bank of security monitors. On one screen, they could see a group of raiders approaching their location. We need a distraction, Tom said, looking around desperately. Red Scale looked at Scout, then at Tom. The beast, Scout. Could he? Tom nodded, understanding. He knelt beside Scout. Hey buddy, want to play a game? 2 minutes later, the raiders were thrown into chaos by what their panicked reports described as a golden fury racing through their ranks. Scout dashed between their legs, barking happily, causing confusion and disrupting their formation. What kind of weapon is that? Voidheart demanded over the comms. It's not a weapon, Red Scale answered, having hacked into their frequency. It's a friend, and you're in its territory. While Scout kept the raiders distracted, Tom and Red Scale worked together to activate the base's defense systems. Within minutes, the remaining human and alien security forces had regained control. As the raiders were led away in restraints, Scout trotted back to the group, tail wagging, clearly pleased with himself. I believe, Red Scale said slowly, I owe both you and Scout an apology. We thought we'd discovered a weapon, but instead, we found something far more valuable. A companion who uses love and loyalty as his greatest strengths. Scout responded by dropping a slightly chewed pirate boot at Red Scale's feet, clearly hoping to play fetch. Although the alien commander added, watching Scout's playful antics, perhaps being a weapon and being a friend aren't always mutually exclusive. Tom scratched Scout's ears. Good dogs can be both protectors and companions. That's what makes them special. Indeed, Red Scale agreed, finally reaching down to throw the boot for Scout. Perhaps that's what makes humans special too, seeing the potential for friendship in the unexpected. 1 month after the space pirate incident, the Joint Human-Alien Command Center had changed dramatically. Where once there had been stark military efficiency, now there were dog beds in every corner and treat dispensers built into the walls. Scout, wearing a tiny diplomatic badge on his collar, trotted proudly through halls that had once been forbidden to him. High Marshal Red Scale stood before the Galactic Council, giving his final report on Earth relations. Scout sat perfectly behaved at his feet, occasionally wagging his tail when council members glanced his way. After extensive research and recent events, Red Scale announced, I must revise our initial assessment of Earth and its inhabitants. What we first saw as a primitive world harboring biological weapons has proven to be something far more remarkable. Captain Tom, standing nearby, couldn't help but smile as several council members leaned forward to get a better look at Scout. Humans, Red Scale continued, have achieved something our science thought impossible. They have taken natural evolution, added patience and kindness, and created not weapons, but friends. Their dogs represent something unique in the galaxy, a voluntary partnership between species based on mutual trust and affection. Scout chose this moment to roll over, causing 3 council members to coo in spite of their formal demeanor. As such, Red Scale declared, I propose 2 initiatives. First, the establishment of an interspecies pet alliance program, allowing for cultural exchange through Earth's domesticated animals. Second, he paused, his scales turning slightly pink. I formally request permission to adopt Scout as my personal companion. The council chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. Tom stepped forward. Scout has already made his feelings clear on that matter, I think. Indeed, the puppy was already leaning against Red Scale's leg, looking up at him adoringly. The council quickly approved both proposals, leading to immediate changes across human-alien relations. Within weeks, the first Pets in Space program launched, with specially trained dogs helping alien crews deal with the stress of long space voyages. Green Eye's research team made breakthrough after breakthrough studying the human-dog bond. They discovered that the emotional intelligence of dogs could help even the most logical alien species understand the value of emotional connections. At the Diplomatic Training Center, new scenes became common. Alien diplomats learning to throw tennis balls, understanding the concept of good boy, and mastering the art of belly rubs. Some species that had never known physical affection began to understand its importance through their interactions with Earth's four-legged ambassadors. But the most remarkable transformation was in High Marshal Red Scale himself. Security cameras regularly caught him playing fetch in his private quarters, teaching Scout new tricks, or simply sitting quietly with the dog's head in his lap while reading reports. During one memorable diplomatic session, a heated argument between two alien species was diffused when Scout simply walked over and placed a paw on each representative's hand. The sight of the galaxy's most feared military commander getting down on the floor to praise his dog for keeping the peace would have been unthinkable just months before. "You know," Tom said one day, watching Red Scale teach Scout a new trick, "when you first contacted Earth about our ultimate weapon, this wasn't quite what anyone expected." Red Scale nodded, tossing Scout a treat for successfully learning to shake with his left paw. "We came looking for humanity's greatest weapon, and we found it. Just not in the way we thought." "Oh, love," Red Scale said simply. "Your species' greatest weapon is your capacity to love, even those very different from yourselves. To see past appearances and find friendship where others see only threat or utility. Scout taught us that." Scout barked happily, bringing his favorite ball to Tom. "The real beast we discovered," Red Scale continued, watching Tom throw the ball, "wasn't Scout at all. It was our own prejudice and fear. Your cute pup helped us defeat that beast." As they watched Scout play, news came in from across the galaxy. Dogs helping alien scientists stay calm during complex experiments, providing comfort to space crews on long journeys, and even assisting in diplomatic negotiations. Earth's ultimate weapons were changing the galaxy, one tail wag at a time. "So," Tom asked with a grin, still planning to unleash the beast on the galaxy. Red Scale picked up Scout, who immediately licked his face. "Oh yes," the alien commander replied, his scales glowing with happiness. "But now we know the only thing these beasts will conquer is hearts."